Hey guys, how's it going? Just hanging out in the shop. I'm going to start disassembling my 2003 Harley Davidson Road King. I have an oil leak. I know, a Harley with an oil leak, which isn't typical for a twin cam, but this motor has been worked on. So I lived with it last season. As you guys know, I took many years off riding, and after 12 or 13 years, I got another bike. The first bike I bought was a Kawasaki Concourse 1400. Great bike, super fast, just a great mile pounder. I could go anywhere on that bike, hit the twisties, just an absolute monster of a motorcycle. But I was not comfy on that bike. I could never get it so that I could ride long distance on that thing and be comfortable. So anyways, I decided to go back to Harley. Now, I've had Harleys in the past. I've had many Harleys. And in a previous life, I actually was a guy that wrenched on these things all the time. I even worked at the dealer for about a week and decided I didn't want to be a Harley technician. True story. No regrets either. I'm happy I went that route. Anyhow, I'm going to slowly tear this thing apart, and I'm just going to bring you guys along with me. I don't know how far I'm going to get today, but I need to pull the top end off this motor because I have a base gasket leak in the rear cylinder and possibly the front. I haven't been able to track it down. I've thrown gaskets at this thing last summer. Anything I could get at easily without wasting riding time, I replaced, and I never figured it out. So today, let's just start prepping. I'm going to pull the saddlebags, the seat off, undo the battery, gas tank. I've been siphoning fuel. Haven't had a mouthful of fuel in a while. Tasty stuff. Hopefully I don't have to do that again. But anyways, let's just get going on this and let's hang out in the shop and get some bike work done. First thing I'm going to start with is the seat. And like all Harleys, at least old Harleys, one screw holds the seat on, and then you can pull the whole seat off like so. Now I'm going to unbolt the battery, or undo the battery, not unbolt it, like so. Okay, and I'll pull that out of there. So that's done. I'm going to remove both saddlebags. I kind of like these leather wrap saddlebags, especially, I don't know, it's kind of different. I have an FXR T fairing on this bike with the leather wrap saddlebags. This doesn't seem to be common. I can always find my bike in a parking lot. Off they come like that. Now I'll remove the dash. I'll start bagging all this hardware. That way I know where it goes after, okay? And you just lift the dash off. Okay, I'm just going to lift this up and off. There's one plug here. That's for the fuel pump. Okay, another one here. All Harleys of this vintage, it has a crossover and a quick release. Well, all fuel injected Harleys have a quick release fuel line. Okay, you just push up on this little collar here. It's like an air hose. Okay, now I siphoned out most of the fuel, but I did, when I cut the other side of this, I did have a pretty good fuel leak. It is what it is. It just means my work table will be super clean. Okay, off comes the tank. Oh, and there's one more connection. Right there. That should be the end of it. There we go. Okay, now the coil and bracket. If you've never worked on a Harley, they're pretty simple. Just everything has to go up. Okay, and I'm going to undo these spark plugs. Okay, there's the coil. Now I'll undo the motor mount. Couldn't get the wires off on the horn, so I just figured I'll pull her off. That way I can look at the back of it and see where these wires go. There's a clip here holding it in. The other reason why I'm filming this, and this is actually how I started YouTube, is for me, so I can remember where all this stuff goes. There's your horn. These are two 9/16. And now we're on the other side. Take the air filter cover off. Okay, then 3 more screws. We'll get this off. Now, I would say one of the worst parts of working on a Harley is right here. Okay, the intake bolts. The old ones have big nuts that go there. Those are especially fun. Well, these came off. Okay, and that didn't go too bad. Slowly pull this out. We're still leaking a little bit of fuel from the fuel injectors. This particular bike wears a thunder header, a black one. Again, another reason why I bought it. That's the pipe I always used back in the day. I don't know if they've made better pipes, but nothing sounds like a thunder header, and thunder headers make power on a dyno and in real life. So I'll remove the thunder header, and then we can start getting ready to take the top end off. Okay, undo your head bolts, pull your flanges down, brackets, pretty straightforward stuff. Then just slowly wiggle your pipe off. Okay, now I'm just going to quickly rip this front cylinder off. Like I said, I just want to see what I'm working with here. And this motor ran perfect. No issues. Hopefully it's in good shape. When I pull it apart, I'm just going to take the 6 bolts that hold the rocker boxes off. Nice and clean in there. Wow, is this thing clean inside? Very impressed. Okay, now I'll take these 2 off for the breather valve. I have had problems with my breather valves. This thing leaks oil out of the intake when you're ripping down the highway. Top cover and my breathers. I could undo the push rods and that, but I'm not going to do that in this case. Okay, I'm just going to slowly undo these. Okay, 2 on the other side. Okay, and the longer one is for the exhaust. Interesting, this O-ring isn't crushed. That's usually what happens when these breathers leak, but that doesn't mean the rear cylinder doesn't have issues. Okay, now I'll crack all these bolts, take my lower rocker box off, and then I can take the heads off. Okay, now I'm going to undo the 4 head bolts. grab a bigger tool here. And I'll mention these are 12 point, so make sure you got 12 point when you're working on this. Give her a little whack. Off comes the head. Okay, now I'm going to attempt to slide. I'm gonna have to spin this motor back over. I have it in 6th gear. This motor's pretty clean, actually. I'll try and get as much of this carbon off the top of the piston as I can. This is heavier stuff here, but basically what I'm going to do is slide this up until I get to the wrist pin, which is right there. And I will pull the wrist pin out. I don't want to pull these pistons out if I don't have to. I want to keep the rings and everything where they are, sitting in the cylinder. Okay. Okay, I took the circlip out. Opening to the top is where it was. And it came off. So, well, then that's just the way it's going to be. Okay, let's try this again. A little bit more. There we go. Well, what I see so far is this thing's in nice shape. Pistons look good. I'll bring you guys to the bench and then we'll wrap this up. Okay, we're on the bench. And again, I didn't want to pull the piston out, but you can see it's in great shape. This motor looks like it has no miles on it. Don't know what kind of pistons these are, but they're clearly a quality aftermarket piston. They're forged. Maybe when I clean the top up, there'll be a maker mark on it. But we'll play that by ear. Look at the size of these things. Okay, head. Everything looks good in here. And just for conversation's sake, the guys that say that rough is no good, that is a CNC ported head. Look at the finish on there. You could grab those with your finger. J Precision, beautiful work. That's the intake side. Exhaust. And this thing runs, friends. This motor is, it doesn't make a ton of power down low. Okay. But when you walk that throttle, let me tell you, this thing is an absolute monster. It goes. And there's my cylinder. Still see the cross hatching. Few lines in it here and there, and that seems to be where the ring lands are, where the gaps are in them. Okay, cylinders look great. This one does. I'm sure the rear will look similar. Again, this bike doesn't smoke or anything. It just is having oil issues, and if you guys look, this O-ring's very flat, but if you look, there's oil all the way around here, okay? And this bike has been leaking oil. This bike has been leaking oil somewhere. I'll show you guys. Okay, and you see how wet it is here? Right there. Okay, this bike was leaking oil around the front and or rear cylinder. You can see it. See how it's shiny here? So that's why I decided to do this. And I've never owned a Harley that I haven't been into the motor, so. Okay, so I'll carefully go around, clean everything up, and order new gaskets. The main thing I wanted to order, and we'll go back to the bench. But again, guys, you can see it's all wet in there? There should be no oil. See how it's all oily? Okay. You can see signs of oil in here, and down there's wet. Okay, this thing hasn't been run for a long time. And back here, what happens is the oil comes down here. Okay, down here, and it runs inside where the primary is. It's not horrible, but, and you can see it's all wet down here, and that's from oil leaking. Okay. So I have to carry oil with me because I never know when I'm going to need oil. And yes, I check it, but I would hate to grenade, an $8,000 motor because I didn't put oil in it. This bike also has the Screaming Eagle 6-speed. This case is flaky, but that's what's in there. I don't really care what it looks like. I just care how it rides. And this bike's an old war wagon, and I bought it like that because why not? And the main thing is for me, friends, is I paid nothing for this bike, and it's fun. I enjoy riding it. It's fast. It's super noisy, and it's a good deal all the way around. Okay, we'll go back to the bench, and then we'll wrap this up. Okay, we're back at the bench. Now, the main thing I want to do here today, I don't know, again, I didn't build this motor. I'm probably going to go in here and clean all this up. Head gaskets. I would like to know what head gaskets are in this motor. Let's see if I can just pop this up here. Okay, they're probably 30 thou head gaskets. There we go. So let me grab something better here. But they make 20, 30, 35, 40 thou. 30 would be my guess. So I can order an entire, notice I'm not prying against the surface of the head. I'm prying against the head gasket. Okay. I can order a whole top end, and I can order a complete gasket set for this motor. Okay. But you order it with your head gaskets. So basically, I'm going to throw this over here for now. I'm going to have to tidy this up. Basically, I want to know what my head gaskets are. Let's see. Usually there's writing on them. This one seems to say nothing. Nothing on this thing, eh? Okay, we'll pull up the calipers and just see what do we got, and then I'll order the same. Okay, these are making 27 thousandths. Oh, there we go. 27 thousandths. Now that's after these have been squished down. There we go. There's a section that hasn't been squished. We're making 29. Okay, so I need 30 thousandths head gaskets. I will order those. I'm going to get these cleaned up. I'm going to leave these rings where they are right now and try and put them back where they started out life. Because again, I'm not trying to rebuild this motor, because really this motor's fine. I'm just trying to make it not leak oil. This motor's really fast. It idles good. It starts good. It's not too bad on fuel. Doesn't seem to run too hot. It's all the things that I like in a motor, so I'm happy with it. Okay, and again, you got your 2 compression rings here and an oil ring right there. Again, everything seems to be in good shape. Oh, and while we're here, it's because anything over 3.9 is going to be a 98 inch, and this thing mics. I do have bore gauges, but I'm not even going to use them. Okay, this thing mics 3.9. I looked at it the other way, friends. It's hard to do this on camera, but it was like 3.32. So 3.3 347 is a 98 inch. So this is a 98 inch for sure. That's cool when you buy something without any way of proving or disproving what the fellow tells you, and it ends up being correct. So cool. I'm pretty sure I found my leak. This is all covered in oil, and that is the outside of the front cylinder. Okay. Inside is clean. Again, if you flip this over, that's where the push rod is. Okay, this is the intake side. That's the exhaust side. Covered in oil. So more than likely this thing's been leaking right there, either from this O-ring or this base gasket. So I'm glad I'm finding something. You can't really see this when the bike's together. Let's have a look at the rear cylinder. You can see signs of oil there all the way around, so it's hard to say. Again, you can't track down where the oil's coming from. You just know it's there when you're riding the bike. You get oil everywhere. And again, it's not even enough to drip, but see all this oil contamination? Okay, but it's enough that I got to add oil to this thing quite regularly. You know, quarter liter here, quarter liter there. This thing only holds about 3.5 liters, so I'm just tired of adding oil to it. Oil's expensive. So you can see right in there. See how it's super wet? Well, I already replaced this tappet block gasket last year. I put a new gasket in there and idled the bike for about a half hour in the shop, and it was like, okay, this thing's not leaking. Took it for a ride, and it was leaking again. So anyhow, this should, as long as I put it together right and torque everything, this should fix my issue, and then I can just ride this thing. From what I see in the front cylinder, this thing's got many, many, many miles left on it. Okay, guys, well, that was fun. Not too difficult. Harleys are easy to work on. Main thing is, put it back together, use a torque wrench. That used to be my number one complaint, is guys that work on Harleys, they don't torque anything, and that's why everything leaks and they fall apart. Put them back together properly. There's like 9 bolts in the top end. Why not torque all 9 of those bolts? Okay, friends, I'm going to get cleaned up. Thanks for watching. Take her easy. See you in a couple days. Later.